to you.
All right.
Check, am I audible? So Sachin, that was a standing ovation. Did you feel like you've gone back to your playing days?
Just like I took my time when I went out in the middle, I'm still taking my time to settle down here.
I think they had a message there when they were giving you that standing ovation. The message was that they miss you. Not just them, I miss you.
Well, I was going to say the other way around, that I miss you guys, because, the love and affection, it's the support that I got for so many years. I'm missing that.
No, not just them. I miss you. Before I was leaving for this session, my wife told me at the breakfast table, you're meeting Sachin, tell him we miss him. My grandmother, 87 years of age, called me, you're talking to Sachin, tell him I miss him. The valet guy told me just now, he recognized me, you're doing the session with Sachin, please unko bolna, I really miss him. The question is, do you miss cricket?
I don't. Actually, the first couple of years after retirement, I didn't miss playing cricket. Well, tomorrow don't make it a headline that I'm missing cricket suddenly, but it's nice to play an exhibition game here and there. It brings back all the fond memories. Also, what it allows us is to interact with the crowds who've supported us for years and years. In fact, we played 3 games last year in America, which was only for retired cricketers. And the response was magnificent and overwhelming. It's something I would want to do again.
I just realized that I said I miss you more times than in the last 2 minutes, and probably Anjali said it in the 21 years of your marriage. I just realized that. Maybe 6 times. Anyway, so like I said, that particular date, I still remember, 16th of November 2013. That was the last time we saw Sachin Tendulkar play for India. And though on paper it seems like just 3 years, but I can tell you as a fan, and I'm sure most would agree, it feels like a lifetime. And just to put it into perspective, let me tell you how far back that was. When Sachin last played a match for India, Aam Aadmi Party hadn't made their electoral debut. In fact, Mr. Kejriwal was on odd days a politician, and on even days he was an activist at the time. Also, I don't think at that time any Indian knew the meaning of surgical strike. They would need a dictionary to find that out. Today, it's common knowledge. And finally, forget about his Twitter account being hacked. I don't think Rahul Gandhi was on Twitter. So that's how far back you last played for India. Looking back, are you enjoying your second inning now? I mean, no more going to the net practice in the morning?
Yeah, waking up whenever I want to. Not exactly whenever I want to, but there are certain occasions, there are commitments, and you need to be up early, but not hitting the gym always. In fact, just after retirement, my wife asked me, that's it? Your workout is done? I said, yeah. I mean, my workout is done. I'm just entering gym. That itself is a great thing right now. But slowly, after a while, I had my time off, and then I started hitting the gym and started working out and doing certain things. It's been hectic. See, the most important thing for me is that I'm getting to do all the things which I couldn't do during my cricketing years. I'm able to rub shoulders with all those people who were miles away from me. I'm going to different parts of India as a Rajya Sabha MP. Also visited the village that I adopted and understood what it is like to stay there. Life is completely different. It's been a learning experience for me. It's not just about few commercials here and there and attending functions, but overall as a person, I think it has given me an opportunity to travel around, mingle around with people, and learn more things in life.
Right, now let's get into cricket. Let's talk about current cricket. And I think the biggest issue right now in the world of cricket is Test cricket dying. It's sad to see not too many people turn up to watch a gripping Test match. How do you feel about it? And why do you think this is happening? As someone who always put Test cricket as the number 1 format.
I continue to do so. Test cricket is dying I don't think it's dying. It's actually the mindset of the people which is changing. I feel the introduction of T20 and also above all technology, I think has changed the mindset. I may not be in the stadium, but I could still be following what's happening in the match. Test cricket, I felt there are not enough rivalries. When I was growing up, I was watching Test cricket. Today's generation, when they are growing up, they are watching T20. So naturally, with time, you're going to think differently. You're going to approach things differently. Test cricket, coming back to our rivalries, I felt someone like Imran Khan bowling to Sunil Gavaskar was a big thing for us. Our coach would take us aside and show us that, this is how a back foot defense is, which I don't know how many coaches would be doing that today. A rivalry between Vivian Richards and Jeff Thompson, Brian Lara, Glenn McGrath, Steve Ambrose, so many rivalries like this. So those rivalries were engaging rivalries, and that generated a lot of interest. West Indies in the 80s was a magnificent side. Also in the 90s, the whole world's target was to beat West Indies. And then came Australia. Australia played some incredible cricket. They turned up on the field with 9 world-class players and 2 really, really terrific players. So out of those 9 world-class players, even if 3 guys clicked or 4 guys clicked, you've closed the game. So that was the case. Everyone wanted to go out and beat them, and I feel that is missing today.
Right. So that's a very interesting suggestion. That's one of the reasons you feel that Test cricket is probably not dying, as you said. Not too many people are turning up because they aren't great rivalries that you talk about. But talking about rivalries, one loved your rivalry with Australia too. You versus Shane Warne, Sachin Tendulkar versus Glenn McGrath. In fact, I've never seen Sachin Tendulkar get angry on a cricket field, but the time that you were facing McGrath.
That was done strategically, intentionally. Because I played the first over. We were playing in Nairobi. Yes. Overcast conditions. We won the toss. We batted. Saurav and I, while walking out, he said, Dada, maybe पहला आधा घंटा 45 minutes थोड़ा ध्यान देके खेलना पड़ेगा. बॉल सीम करेगा थोड़ा, maybe थोड़ा bounce रहेगा. ध्यान देके खेलेंगे. So after playing the first over, I went up to Dada and I said, Dadi, I call him Dadi also sometimes. So सब सोचेंगे कि ये क्या कहने लगा अभी. So I told him कि हम ऐसे ही खेलेंगे तो McGrath के analysis would be 8 overs, 5 maidens, 6 runs and 4 wickets. क्योंकि he'll end up bowling where he likes bowling. We need to disturb him, and not just disturb his bowling but disturb him mentally. तो मेरे को थोड़ा लाइसेंस देना, जो मैं करना चाह रहा हूँ मेरे को लाइसेंस देना. Dada was captaining at that time. So obviously I had to share my thoughts with our captain and let him know what I was planning. So I said कि मैं जाके कुछ तो बोलूँगा उसको. Sorry. मैं जाके उसको कुछ बोलूँगा, मगर तू ध्यान नहीं देना, मेरा ध्यान पूरा अपनी बैटिंग पे ही है. So I went and I said something to him. I started, which I obviously can't say here, but
But we could lip read, I remember.
So I went and I said something to him. I stepped out. I mistimed one, which also I was lucky at that time to not get caught. But after that, I timed a couple of shots and then he bowled a bouncer and I hooked him, which I actually timed the ball really well. It went out of the ground. Again, I had few things to share with him, and by then he was disturbed and he wanted to bowl fast and bowl bouncers and all that. So I told after that, Dada, जो मैं plan कर रहा था वो हो रहा है. McGrath is not bowling where he could get us out. He is bowling where he could hit us. That's fine, but we're not going to get out. So the plan worked, but it was done intentionally. Sometimes, we don't carry all that off the field. McGrath is a good friend of mine, but on the field, when you go, you have to come up with these to me, there are slightly innovative ideas because I'm not used to getting into, retaliate with the opposition and confront on various issues. I don't like doing that because I feel I've engaged myself into any argument or whatever when I wanted to do, not when opposition wanted me to do. So in my batting also, there were a couple of occasions where I kept leaving the ball and I said, I'm playing my game. It's strategy. And then the rest of the world thought that he's playing too slowly. Because I said, I decide when I play the ball, not the bowler. And it's exactly like that. I decide when to speak to a bowler. He doesn't decide.
Okay, that's fascinating insight into what goes into a mind of a professional cricketer. But we're talking about Test cricket and looking for solutions to improve it. I know you're a wrong person to ask this question since you're a batsman, but what do you make of these huge totals that we see in Test cricket and the pitches that are on offer? Do you think that could change to make Test cricket exciting?
Nothing wrong in making big totals. That's what we all want to go out and do. But also at the same time, I will come back to those rivalries. Those rivalries took place because the game was engaging. The surfaces were slightly bowler friendly is what I would say. I still remember in, I think 1987, when Gavaskar scored 97.
Correct, in Bangalore.
In Bengaluru.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a big 100, it wasn't a double 100, but we still, it stayed with me. Why? Because it was a difficult surface and he batted magnificently. Again, the coaches said, this is how the footwork should be, this is how, you deal with spinners, those kind of things. And the rest of the guys were not so comfortable, but Gavaskar made it look easy. Second example, I would say, happened in the recent past, in 2015 World Cup, when Wahab Riaz was bowling against Australia. Though it was a one-day match, his aggressive spell, he bowled I think 6 overs, his aggressive spell stayed with me, it touched my heart. I thought that was classic cricket. And how many times in a one-day match you see a batsman who's not wanting to play hook shot and then looking to survive for a while. Bowler had a short leg, deep square leg and fine leg. And again, Shane Watson, if I'm not mistaken, tried to hook.
Correct, yes.
Mistimed the ball, the catch was dropped. If that catch had been taken, it would have been an even better spell. But those kind of things stay with us. So to get crowds engaging, I think there has to be an even contest between bat and ball. In T20, I think I'm not speaking rocket science that the batters dominate. They have come up with such innovations that the best of the bowlers are getting reverse swept, fast bowlers, and the newcomers would also come and play a sweep shot. All these kind of innovations are taking place. So this is what our current generation is watching. They are watching something else and we are wanting them to turn up and support something else. So it doesn't somehow, there is no connect at all, I feel. We need to prepare kind of surfaces which are evenly balanced, where we get to see 4 or 5 maiden overs up front when seamers are bowling. Life should be slightly difficult. It shouldn't be easy. And that is what Test cricket is about. There is not much difference as far as the laws of cricket are concerned between T20 and one-day cricket. With Test cricket, the laws change in the 90s, so it's kind of, I felt, changed over there a little bit, and the surface is also contributed to that. So if you want to bring back interest levels and engagement of the crowds inside the stadium, because there are many people who are on their phones watching what's happening, or if it's not exciting, change the channel and look at something else. To avoid that, I think inside the stadium, what you do is really important, and the heart of cricket is the surface.
Okay.
Surface decides what happens. The surface allows fair competition between bat and ball.
Right. As a cricket fan, I must say that it's a spectacle when a bowler is dominating. It's great theatre to watch. And you gave examples of, various other batsmen who survived in tough conditions. I can think of one, you played many great innings, but 2011, you and Gautam Gambhir in Cape Town. Now, that was an example of, surviving.
Yeah, I mean, so many years of my international cricket. I remember that one session in Cape Town, when in the morning we were playing against Dale Steyn and Maury Mockle. I faced 6 or 7 overs of Dale Steyn, and Gautam Gambhir faced 7 overs of Maury Mockle. We were not able to rotate the strike for 58 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. 58 minutes, I kept playing Dale Steyn, and there were occasions when I got beaten, and there were occasions when I hit boundaries. But that is something the spectators enjoyed as well. The game by no means was slow because we were scoring runs in boundaries, but bowlers were also beating the bat maybe twice an over. They were bowling magnificent spell, and that is something you want to introduce to newer generation because they are used to watching couple of boundaries being hit in T20 or one-day cricket. Now, can we show something different to them, where a bowler is beaten bat twice an over? That might generate those rivalries that I'm talking about, and I'm a strong believer of that, because when you start creating these rivalries, people's interest levels go up. And when I remember when I was my first tour of New Zealand in 1990, it was Kapil Dev versus Richard Hadley, and Kapil Dev versus Martin Crowe. And we were all, I was part of the team, but I was still wanting, Kapil Paji to do better than Richard Hadley. Kapil Paji wanting should go out and get Martin Crowe. Those kind of things were happening in spite of being in the team. So for a spectator, a common man, they'll have more time to think about all these things, and they will engage themselves more than what they're engaging today, I feel.
Okay, great ideas. What do you make of, again, looking at ways to improve Test cricket, back-to-back series?
That's a great point, because I thought of it. I feel, when you play a side, let's say 2 years ago we played in England, and 2 years later, England, they've lost a couple of players. We have a couple of very good players, which is good for us. But a fair contest would be to play back-to-back series. There could be 2 test matches in England, and whatever happens there, you come back to India and play 2 test matches again here. So then, home and away competition becomes fair, with more or less the same squad, same form. Everything stays the same, just the venues change, the conditions change, but the teams don't change. Teams, if there is an injury, whatever, you can change because of lack in form, all that you can change, but more or less the core of the team stays the same. I think that might generate more interest. If we go and beat England in England, they would want England to come to India and beat India. So that way you are generating interest amongst both the audiences, in England as well as in India and various parts of the world. And for that, I think if we are able to do this, I know it's really difficult. Anurag is looking at me right now saying, oh, what is he talking right now? But, this is just a suggestion. I'm just coming up with ideas and, a way to look at generating more interest in future. This could be one of the things. I'm not saying that it'll click for sure, but something to think about.
No, as a sports fan, I would believe that great suggestions to improve Test cricket, but we're talking about changes. So I have to slip this question in. Lots of changes suggested by the Lodha panel as far as the BCCI is concerned. What is your view on that?
Is it because I mentioned his name? You're asking me?
Yeah, that reminded me of the question.
Okay. Well, the matter is in the Honorable Supreme Court, and it would be unwise to get into details and pass any judgment. But from my personal experience, from cricketing point of view, I've always got a lot of support from the BCCI as well as MCA while growing up, to have those camps for us, various tournaments, school tournaments. In fact, recently MCA also introduced last year a 14-member squad for junior levels, which is what I wanted them to do. So it gives more opportunities to youngsters. I sort of just shared one example with them. I said, if you have 300 matches in a year, school matches, you are encouraging 1,800 more children every year to participate. And that is a wonderful thing that they have done. BCCI, they've always been supportive, and the way we've managed things, I think it has also helped us to get to where we are. Not just me, but there are so many amazing players that India produced, and everyone would agree with me that BCCI has supported them and looked after them, taken care of them. It's been a wonderful journey going ahead with BCCI, but it doesn't stop here. I'm not saying everything is perfect, everything is right, and we don't need to improve, we don't need to make changes. We need to make changes for better. We are already the leading side in the world, leading board in the world. Capitalize on that and make things better and better for India, because eventually what we are looking is the best thing to happen to India. And that is what, as a cricket well-wisher and fan and a player, is what I would want.
Okay, so the proof of the pudding is in eating it. What do you then make of the current Indian team? Because that would be a good benchmark to judge the BCCI. Have you been watching the current team play, and what are your thoughts on the current bunch of cricketers?
I think current bunch of cricketers remind me of what we did from year 2000 to 2010-11. We had Sehwag, Rahul batted at 3, I was batting at 4, Saurav 5 and Lakshman 6. And that is what I see in this team. It's without any doubt, to me it'll always be the best side in the world, but soon the rest of the world will also start rating them as number one side in the world, because I feel we have the right balance as far as quality fast bowling is concerned and quality spinners are concerned. I think we have well balanced side, and needless to say the batting lineup is really strong, but it needs direction. We've got an ideal man to guide them, Anil Kumble. I think to have Anil Kumble in the dressing room and to share their experiences with Anil and vice versa is once in a lifetime opportunity, and Anil being there 24/7 for them is fantastic.
Okay, that's a huge compliment for the current bunch. You're comparing them with the Fab Five of Indian cricket that we saw. But as you said, some improvements need to be made. So going back to domestic cricket, lots of questions over, playing in neutral venues. We spoke about test cricket, not too many people turning up in domestic venues. Do you keep a close eye on that? Because I know you have a lot of suggestions over my time as a cricket journalist. Very often I'd come across you and you'd have an idea as far as how to improve domestic cricket. Have you been thinking about it now and how to improve that to get better players?
Yes, I followed a bit of domestic cricket. And talk about neutral venues and tailor-made pitches. So I was thinking, what could be a fair solution? And there were also comments that we need to travel better. We need to go abroad and start winning matches. So all these things put together, I came up with a radical idea. I don't know how many guys would accept that, but it's something to look at. We start to play on home grounds, because you need crowd to be against you or with you, is what my feeling is. When we travel to places like New Zealand, South Africa, Australia, West Indies, most of the parts of the world, cricket is played with kookaburra. So when an opener is selected to play for India, and he's traveling to New Zealand, suddenly playing with the SG ball. Now, let me tell you, SG new ball and kookaburra new ball is like
chalk and cheese.
More or less, I would say. Kookaburra ball will swing more early on and then reverse little less than SG. So when the ball is swinging more, batters' techniques are tested. I would want the first innings to be played on a green top, because whenever we are looking to prepare fair wickets, only on day one at the most they help our seamers, and then the same surface becomes a flat deck. Nothing happens on that, and that's why you see big runs. So it's neither here nor there. Because they've tried to make green tops, there is less help for spinners also. So here I feel when you start playing on green tops, the opening batsman whom we are looking at, okay, this guy should travel to Australia and play with Kookaburra ball, you are giving him practice. This is for the second string the bench string that I'm talking about. For them, it is important to know how a Kookaburra ball would seem, how a Kookaburra ball will swing, and off the pitch, if it's a green top, what you need to do, how many balls you need to leave an over, or how many sessions you have to play. This is critical factor, because the ball is different compared to SG. A spinner also, when he has to bowl in foreign conditions, I remember in 1999, Anil Kumble shared his thoughts with me. He said, "Ye Kookaburra ball thoda grip karne mein thoda alag hai compared to SG." And a great player like Anil Kumble, a champion bowler, is saying this after 9 years of international cricket. So you can imagine what a newcomer must be facing. That challenge must be something where you've got nowhere to hide. You are in the middle of MCG, it's a massive stadium, 75,000 people, and you're not being able to grip the ball. It's a challenge. And I feel that's why our spinners, along with our batters, seamers, and also spinners, they need to know what are the areas to bowl in the first innings when the wicket is not helping them at all on a green top. Second innings, you move just on the side on a turning track.
Sorry, you mean a different pitch?
There are two different pitches that I am suggesting, which will also stop the curators in making tailor-made pitches. You also have a green top in the same match, you also have a turning track. I remember a couple of seasons ago, there were turning tracks made for few bowlers, and then they picked wickets. There were flat decks made for batters, they scored runs, and they got back where they wanted to be. So there'll be even balance between bat and ball, fast bowlers as well as spinners. I want the second innings to be played on a turning track, because we should not forget what our strength is and what the opposition find difficult to deal with. Opposition find when the ball is turning, it's difficult to deal with. To play with SG has been our strength. So we should continue playing with SG in the second innings, where on a less helpful wicket for fast bowlers, SG ball will reverse better than Kookaburra. So at no stage, batters are playing on flat decks. If a captain wins a toss and there is a bit of life in wicket, captain invariably says, "Okay guy, you bat." Because he knows on day 2, 3 and 4, the wicket is going to be flat. But whereas when you start playing on two different surfaces, the captain knows, if I bowl first, I'll be batting fourth on a rank turner. So it's not going to be easy. So basically where I'm coming to, toss doesn't decide the outcome of the match. Toss only allows the captain to have maybe 10% advantage, but not 80% advantage where the wicket is damp, you put the opposition in, and when you go out to bat, it's a flat wicket, you score 600 runs and get them out again. That will stop. It will also teach our batters to play on turning tracks, because we are constantly saying that we need to win abroad and we need to play on green tops. But while chasing that, we should not forget to also bat on turning tracks, which is our strength, which is our forte. So this maintains balance between both, and also to play with two different balls is important, because I don't think people in New Zealand or Australia or South Africa play with SG ball. Who knows? They might start that because that is what they are experiencing here. Like, I mean, we keep talking about, we need to travel better, win abroad. They're also losing their matches here. So they possibly might be saying the same thing. That, when we travel and the ball is turning, things are difficult. We need to find a solution. And who knows, this might be the solution.
Okay, I'm trying to soak that in. Radical is an understatement. You're saying 2 different balls, 2 different pitch. That's never happened, by the way, in the history of cricket. Talking about radical changes, I know you're involved with other sports as well, and I really wanted to talk about that. We're running out of time. I have so many questions planned. But other sports, are you thinking of ways how to popularize that? Because I know you've been closely working with other sports people. You were in Rio a short while ago to popularize those sports. Any ideas there?
In fact, I was with the Director General of Sports Authority of India, and he came up with a brilliant idea. He said, why don't we get our athletes to come and compete when an IPL match is going on in the break. It could be IPL match. I'm going a step further by saying it could be a one-day match because we have crowds there. Any athlete to be appreciated for what he or she does, and that encouragement, support is like a tonic. You want to go out and perform better. I would seriously encourage this thought and suggest that this happens because for those athletes also when they are competing in major championships, it is also about getting used to having crowds around, to learn how to absorb pressure, which I feel it becomes a critical part. And if we allow that, above all, also I feel in a cricket stadium, there could be hidden sprinters, 9-10-year-old kids. They don't even know at that stage. Maybe it's lack of awareness, lack of knowledge. Nobody has told them, "Oh, you could become a good sprinter." That early identification can happen. Even if we convert, out of millions and millions who are there, even if few of them get addicted to different sports and not just cricket. I'm not taking people away from cricket, but it is about our nation. How can we build our nation and bring that culture of sports in India? I feel that is really, really critical. And to get our athletes to compete there will be a big boost for them as well as for all of us. When you see any action live there in front of you, you know what it takes to become a champion. And these athletes are champions whom we need to stand and applaud and appreciate. I think it becomes our responsibility.
Okay, that's a fantastic idea. So probably have a 400-meter race or a javelin throw or a shot put competition between the cricket breaks.
And also get a spectator there. You could run a contest there. Spectator to run with them and see how fast they run. Because we say, oh, they're not bringing medals back. But you see what speed they're running at. And we need to appreciate rather than, pulling them down. I think it's encouragement is the only thing which is going to take them further.
Okay, talking about encouraging sports, let's talk about grassroots because that's another area that you're involved in. How do you encourage kids? Because now it's very common for kids to be playing on an iPad rather than going out. There's a saying that we love to clap rather than participate. How do we change that?
I fully agree with you. There are from Panwala to managing director, so many experts. They all have opinions. They all can teach you how to play an outswinger.
Were you like that too? The one who claps and not...
I was. In my school days, I was actually. In fact, my coach had arranged a practice match for me at that stage. And he said, after your school gets over, you go to Shivaji Park and play a practice match at number 4. And I thought the other option was to go to Wankhede Stadium and support my senior team in Harris Shield finals, because that was a critical match and I felt at that stage that I should be there sitting in the stands clapping for them. After the match got over, Achrekar sir was there, so I went and I greeted him, and he kind of reprimanded me because he said that, you need not be here. Why are you here? So I said, sir, I thought मैंने यहाँ आके मैं अगर ताली बजाऊंगा तो it will help our team. I want our team to do well, win and all that. So he said, तुम दूसरों के लिए तालियां बजाना बंद कर दो. ये रोप है, उसके उस तरफ जाओ तो दूसरे तुम्हारे लिए ताली बजाने लगे. And that was a big lesson in my life. That was one moment where I decided, okay, fine, I'm not going to chase all these things. I'm going to play. And that's what I'm saying. As a nation, I think we are less participative. We are happy sitting in our living room, AC on है, sofa पे बैठे, and देख रहे हैं टीवी. We are commenting, oh, इसका टेक्निक ठीक नहीं है, ये स्प्रिंटर और थोड़ा तेज भागना चाहिए, ये अभी यॉर्कर डालता तो आउट होता. All those things are there. We don't engage ourselves into all those activities. And as a nation, what I would want is everyone to be more participative, because it'll have a dramatic change in your health, your lifestyle. If you have less illnesses, if you are fit and healthy, anything in any profession you perform better. You need not be a sportsman to be fit. You could be a normal person. You could be a lawyer, you could be a doctor, you could be an engineer, whatever. But a fit doctor, a fit engineer. Because I feel as a nation, we tend to ignore certain things. We like to spend more time on the dining table and less time in the gym. Gym में जाते तो घड़ी में देखने लगते हैं, अरे 25 मिनट हो गए treadmill पे, now I need to stop. We don't think the same way when we are sitting on a dining table. You say, और एक पराठा आने दो, whatever. I also do that. We all do that. But the day you learn to balance that, automatically it has a positive effect on your health. And it's all about, having good health. I remember my grandmother telling me when I was a kid, your health is your real wealth. Look after your health, everything else will be fine. I got operated on my knee, and that's when I was reminded that health is your wealth, so look after it. And that's what I want India to be, not just healthy. Right now we are all talking about Swachh Bharat, but I think Swachh Bharat and Swasth Bharat go hand in hand. They are interlinked. And why they're interlinked? Because, here as a Swachh Bharat ambassador as well as UNICEF ambassador, I want to take this opportunity to also say that if we are thinking that we are a young nation and we are a fit nation, unfortunately we are not. We are the diabetic capital of the world. 65 million plus people are affected by diabetes, and that is because of our sedentary lifestyle. We don't want to change our lifestyle. I think it's time to change that, because that is one number we should not be proud of. To talk about Swasth Bharat and Swachh Bharat, agar Swachh rahoge, to Swasth rahoge. I keep telling all the children wherever I go, and as a UNICEF ambassador, whenever you are using the toilet, make sure you wash your hands after that. Or before eating, make sure you wash your hands with soap. Sometimes even a mother doesn't realize that she is harming her kid by not washing her hands. And the result is, really, really bad. It is catastrophic. There are almost 100,000 children under the age of 5 who die every year because of diarrheal related diseases only in India. And that is one number. I mean, just by washing hands, if you can save so many lives, why not? This is an effort that we all need to make, and that's why I'm supporting these two things.
Now I know what keeps you busy after cricket. You researching and doing all of this, and talking about, with running out of time, finally your initiative as far as adopting a village. Would you like to talk about that? Because I've read a few reports that you've completely transformed a village that you've adopted in Andhra Pradesh. How did that come about, and what are the changes that you made?
Yeah, this village, 2 years ago I was traveling to America, and I had this idea I was toying around with, that I need to do something for in rural parts of India and give them fair platform to compete with others, because you will find talented guys there, but just the thing which is missing is a fair platform to compete. And I met a joint collector there in the flight who happened to be my friend's cousin. So we were generally talking, and she mentioned to me that, we are planning to do this in our village. And I said, guess what? I'm thinking of the same thing. So why not get together and do something? And from there on, it all started. And we've had collectors there who've responded brilliantly. They've really transformed the village. And the cooperation from the villagers has been magnificent. When I went there the first year, there was nothing in that village. So we created a playground, a community hall, a school was there, underground sewage and drainage was there. This is the village which was also declared by Swachh Bharat Abhiyan as ODF, which is Open Defecation Free Village. So that also happened in the village. And major transformations took place. When I went there the first time, I was told by a couple of young, energetic guys that, there are some families here who the men work the whole day, and in the evening they smoke and they drink, and they are rough with their families, with their daughters and their sons and all that. So I left a message with them. I said, if you stop drinking and smoking and start spending quality time with your family, your daughter, when you come back home, should not see you drunk like that, and you cannot be rough with them. You have to be gentle. You have to be an ideal father. They should look forward to spending time with you, and vice versa. And if you are able to do that, I will come back and sit with you guys and spend some time. And when I went this time, when I got to know about all those things, one of the things which was there on their agenda to let me know was they have stopped drinking and smoking. The families are together, spending time with each other. I think we are adopting villages and transforming them, but also I think it is not just about physical health, but also the mental health is really important. And to make sure that the whole nation is in that space is critical, because I also feel sometimes that children should be taught at a grassroots level about caring for each other. If there is a physically challenged person wanting to cross the road, I would expect a father who's driving a car to stop his car and let the person cross the road and let his kid watch that. And that is what India should be for a time from now, I feel.
Okay. Would have loved to have carried on, but the board says time's up, but I have to do this. These are your last 5 rapid fire questions. 1 word answers is what I'm looking for, and we'll finish it in exactly 30 seconds. Actually depends on you. So that we get an insight into the man, the cricketer, that's Sachin Tendulkar, right? So one bowler, when you saw the ball in his hand and you said, yaar, nahi, isko nahi.
Hansi Kronia.
Ah.
People don't believe me, but yes, there have been times when I was well set and Hansi came and I said, yaar, main Donald ya Pollock khel leta, tu Hansi ko thoda dekh lena.
Okay. Unusual choice. Okay. One thing
he's got me out.
Yes, few times with those in-cutters.
Number of occasions.
Yeah. One thing that you could borrow from these batsmen that I'm going to name, from Brian Lara, what is that one thing you wish you had that he did?
His flair. I think just fantastic player to watch. Aggressive nature, that back lift. But Brian Lara as a package is special.
Okay. Ricky Ponting?
Short of length pull shot. I think nobody could play short of length ball like him. I thought short of length ball the way he would smash the bowlers, it would disturb their length.
Jacques Kallis.
Jacques Kallis का थोड़ा funny है, क्योंकि Jacques Kallis batting करने आता था तो he would always stand ऐसे and keep staring at the grass. तो हम जोकिंगली टीम में यही बोलते थे कि ना जिस समय अगर उसको ग्रास के ब्लेड्स किस तरफ जा रहे दिखने लगेंगे ना तो हम पूरा दिन ग्राउंड पे रहने वाले हैं. तो हम वही बोलते थे कि वो वहां देखने के पहले उसको तो without any doubt his focus and concentration, I think he was brilliant.
Okay. Sachin Tendulkar, the leg spinner, off spinner or medium pacer, which one do you prefer?
Sachin Tendulkar, the fast bowler, you've missed out, by the way. So you ask all the batters, you ask all the batters in the nets, 16 yards se mera ball kitna tez aata hai. I would give them practice, It was one way of enjoying the session, and I also got to learn a lot about cricket, but also about giving practice to our batters, from 16 yards, which would never happen in a match, but in certain areas where, they wanted me to bowl, I would do that.
Yeah, apologies, I missed that because as a kid you went to the MRF Pace Academy too. Your favorite non-cricket sports person? I have a few choices that one could hazard a guess. Is it Roger Federer? Is it John McEnroe?
Roger Federer.
Okay. All right. One batsman that you enjoyed the most watching from the non-striker's end?
Sehwag.
I have.
It was a roller coaster ride. With Sehwag, you don't know कि अगले मोड़ पे क्या आने वाला है. But after playing with him for a while, I understood his thinking and all that. So there was an occasion where he tried to block and he was out. So he was saying कि पाजी ये थोड़ा ठीक नहीं हुआ. He also tried hitting. He was dropped, and then he tried to block. He was out. So he was slightly upset and got back to the dressing room, and I told Viru कि क्या हुआ. Viru said कि पाजी वो ब्लॉक या छोड़ देता थोड़ा तो बेटर रहता. बोले नहीं वीरू, कवर के ऊपर से छक्का मारना चाहिए. Because I realized by then I knew कि whatever I say, Viru would think otherwise. I wanted him to leave the ball. So नहीं बाजी वो छोड़ देना चाहिए था. I said okay, छोड़ ही देना चाहिए था. रख लेना.
I have to tell you this. I asked this same question to Virender Sehwag once in an interview, that how much would you pay to watch Sachin Tendulkar play? He said, why should I pay? I watch him for free. Finally, the fastest bowler you ever faced?
Shoaib, Bretley. Shoaib and Bretley, I would say. Yep, these two would be the fastest bowlers that I've played. Yep, one fastest ball I remember is in Australia by Patrick Patterson. Was way back in 1991. But otherwise, these two bowlers I would say.
Okay, on that note, I'd like to wrap the session up. Thanks so much for taking time out.
Thank you so much. I just have one question because you have fired so many questions. One question for all of you before we wrap up. When a batsman is batting.
Okay, so this is a question that
for
one
you.
need. Okay.
Batsman is batting and gets hit on his helmet. The helmet falls on the stump. Batsman is given out. Okay?
Right.
If a fielder catches a ball at long gone, inside the boundary line, everything is legitimate, but after taking the catch, his cap falls on the other side of the rope. Tell me what it is. Thank you.
I know the answer. It's a rhetorical question. You're making a statement. But technically it's out. But I know the statement that
you guys can also think about it.
Okay, thanks so much. Sachin Tendulkar.
Thank you very much. If I could request Mr. Rajesh Mahapatra, Mr. Tendulkar. If I could request Mr. Rajesh Mahapatra, the Chief Content Officer of Hindustan Times, to please present to Mr. Tendulkar his mementos, which include